Hey everyone, and good Thursday evening to you. It is 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here, and this, of course, is what we call weather for Weather Geeks. It's the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video, and we have no shortage of cold to talk about in this Thursday evening forecast as we head towards the first weekend of December. Cold dominates. In fact, for only the third time this year, a daily record low is pretty likely by tomorrow morning. Quick time lapse from the fairgrounds here in Mahoning County, the Canfield Fairgrounds, in other words, earlier on today, showing the kind of overcast skies at the start of the day. What else is new? But it was nice to finally see some sunshine by this afternoon. We had a few flurries and snow showers out there this morning that, of course, did not add up to much. It was a good-looking afternoon, but temperatures have been trending the wrong direction in the wake of a cold front. With that front now out to the east, the sky has been clearing over the last several hours, and we'll be left with a clear sky tonight. One ingredient for a cold night. The other ingredients, calm winds and relatively fresh snowpack. Now, snowpack is getting a little bit stale after a few days, but there is snow on the ground, and all those things will conspire to produce some pretty darn cold temperatures for this time of the year. Also, we have a full moon up there tonight. Beautiful moonrise earlier this evening. Oftentimes, the full moon in the month of December is called the cold moon for obvious reasons. It's appropriately up there tonight on this coldest night of the season so far. Moonlit sky and the sunset earlier on this evening, 4:54. Actually, tomorrow through Wednesday, it'll be at 4:53. And that kind of 5 or 6 day stretch is the earliest sunsets of the year. Officially, these are the numbers for Youngstown. You know, sunrises and sunsets can vary by a minute or two, depending on your exact location around the region. But officially in Youngstown, 4:54 this evening, 4:53 tomorrow. We're back to 4:54 next Thursday. By Christmas Day, it's 4:59, and the day after Christmas, we go back to 5 p.m. and later sunsets. All right, one of my favorite kind of old-timey weather phrases, a three-dog night. An old saying for, a way to measure how cold it is outside. If you need 3 dogs on the bed, that means it's a pretty cold night out there. And so we're going to declare it a three-dog night tonight. We wouldn't think too much of this in the middle of January once we've had several nights like this, but this will be the first one of these this season. It's pretty early in the season to have this kind of cold tracking our way. Here in the 7 o'clock hour, already slipping into the teens in much of the area, including 18 in Lisbon and Calcutta, 18 in Bessemer, and already down to 12 up in the northeastern corner of Mercer County. We're going to see single digits before the night is through. The record tomorrow morning is 9 at the Youngstown Warren Airport, and I do suspect we will break that. And again, we've only had a couple of record lows here in the calendar year 2025. One was in early September. We had another, I believe, was back in January, maybe around the 22nd of January. We had a record low that day. Again, the other one was in early September, and tomorrow morning should mark the 3rd of 2025. All right, for Friday evening, we won't be in the single digits. It'll warm up into the 20s on Friday, even though the sun in the morning will be replaced by some cloudiness during the second half of the day. If you're heading to downtown Youngstown, as many will be, it'll be a cold but calm evening out there. Not much in the way of wind, generally under 7 or 8 miles per hour. And, with temperatures in the 20s, you'll need the hat, the scarf, the mittens, the whole 9 yards, that is for sure. So we'll start Friday with some sunshine. Now, the bulk of the cloudiness will be off to our south and east as parts of the mid-Atlantic states get grazed by a pretty decent snowfall overnight into tomorrow morning. A place like Roanoke, Virginia, even as far north as Washington, D.C., a little bit of snow. But the clouds with that system mostly to our south and east. That being said, there'll be a few clouds in the sky. During the second half of our Friday, the clouds will definitely thicken up. Then later Friday night, it looks like a pretty overcast weekend. Now, what we've done with the weekend forecast, we did go ahead and add some snow chances to the weekend forecast, but we want to emphasize it's a little bit of snow in the weekend forecast. This first disturbance on Saturday might produce some light snow or flurries, maybe some mood snow for holiday shoppers on one of the final Saturdays before Christmas. So we've got a few Saturdays left, but the shops will be pretty busy out there on Saturday, and a few flakes will be in the air probably midday and afternoon in some spots. Now, there's probably a somewhat better chance of some snowflakes that might even give us some fresh, small accumulations Sunday, particularly later Sunday and maybe early Sunday night. Here's a look at our computer models for the next few days. We'll start Friday evening and take us through the weekend. You'll notice with the Saturday activity, that's this right in here, aside from the NAM, everything is trace amounts. Now, the models are all trying to clue in on maybe some accumulations later Sunday and into early Sunday night. You'll notice the lines bending upwards here. The GFS is particularly aggressive with maybe up to a couple of inches. That's an outlier right now, but we'll keep an eye on the trends certainly for that second disturbance during the tail end of the weekend. The cold Going nowhere in a hurry during the weekend, the first weekend of December, 32 Saturday and 33 degrees, the best we can do on Sunday. But actually, those will be warm days compared to what we have coming our way on Monday. Fresh batch of colder air arriving Sunday night and Monday behind that second disturbance, and so we probably don't get out of the 20s on Monday, and you'll notice we stay below the average each of the next 10 days. There'll be another cold shot late next week, right around the 12th, 13th, so late next week into that following weekend. Now, beyond this 10-day forecast, there may be a couple of milder days in the offing after about the 14th of the month. But at this point, like I mentioned last evening, if you watched last evening's Weather Geeks video, I'm skeptical of any modeling that shows any sort of long-term warming trends through the end of the year. Might have a couple of fleeting milder days during mid-month, but the cold may very well reload during the second half of the month of December. So we'll have more updates on that and more in future editions of Weather for Weather Geeks, including right back here on Friday. Thanks for watching on this Thursday evening, and have a great rest of your night.